Thanks for joining Have Tea with B. Today, I am going to talk about triggers a little bit. So, first, make sure y'all follow me on YouTube, follow my channel and subscribe to it. Also, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. Make sure you check in, okay? So, I am at 1212 Studios as well. This is where I record, where all the production and stuff goes down. So y'all follow them too. But I'm going to talk about triggers a little bit. So a lot of times it's really common for people to be like, oh, that triggered me. I know I still go through it myself sometimes. If you have triggers, quote unquote, we're gonna use some little air quotes here and there. That really means that you're not totally healed from whatever it is that hurt you or caused some type of trauma in your life. You're not healed from it if you're still triggered by it. So I have to remind myself that sometimes as well because I've said it several times on other episodes. I've been through a good little bit of stuff in life, good little bit of trauma. Started from childhood. So recently, I had to kind of take a little step back, look in the mirror, and have a little mirror talk with myself. Like, yeah, girl, you tripping. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to remind yourself that you tripping. You know when you tripping. Ain't nobody got to tell you most of the time unless you just really like off in a deep end. But for me, I know. I may not say like, yeah, I was tripping because we don't do that as women most of the time. But yeah, so I had to have a little mirror talk with myself. Like, yeah, you were tripping, girl. Like, what's going on? So I sat down and I was just like, okay, this incident, what happened, it triggered me. So it made me think about like all the different things that I kind of faced since childhood as far as trauma. I said it before, I'm a trauma baby. Like, I really am. So my issues started really early on with abandonment issues and attachment issues. So I, of course, felt abandonment with my parents being, a child and being around them like all the time. Of course, you're going to get used to people. You get used to seeing people. And then when you don't see them, you're like, what happened? So that's where I felt, the whole abandonment thing came in at. And then also when my grandmother died, even though that was not in her control, that was not in my control, that was just, it was God's timing. But when she died, I felt abandoned. I felt like I had been left all over again. And I, that is something that I'm steadily working on, even as an adult, a 34-year-old woman. Still working on that. So when I meet people and I start to form relationships with them and I get close to them and I'm not just I love them, but my love for them grows, I get real attached. And I don't like when something happened and they be like, they gone. So I had to just really kind of check myself about that because life happens and sometimes it's just not meant for people to be around through every season of your life, whether it be by death, like with my grandmother, or whether it just be by choice because maybe you and that person are just not on the same level anymore. Y'all have outgrown each other. Maybe you outgrown a friendship, maybe you outgrown a relationship, or maybe y'all are just on two different paths of life. So you have to be okay with that. It's hard trying to accept it sometimes, but you just have to find a way to. So another thing that I kind of really thought into as well was I have traits of jealousy. I do. And that started as well from childhood. I think back. So I am the oldest child on both of my parents' sides of the tree or whatever. I'm the first child. for both of them. And then I have a sister. Of course, I've mentioned my sister. She's been on previous episodes as well. I love her to death. And we're 2 years apart. We share, of course, the same parents as well. So my sister is my mom's baby. She was the baby. So my grandmother just had me and my sister primarily as far as like raising us. So y'all know, and yeah, I know, yeah, I ain't over exaggerating. The baby gets a lot of attention, and sometimes the first child get a little neglected sometimes because parents and guardians they feel like the first child can kind of do things on their own, like they don't need what the baby needs in a sense. So I think that was like the start of jealousy for me. Like I'm not that type of person where like I see something in a sense that somebody got like, nah, let me not say that because if I see, these millionaires and stuff, I do want that money. I ain't gonna lie. I want it. But like if I see somebody driving a certain type of car or something like that, I don't care about stuff like that. But yeah, that started jealousy for me. And then my sister she could do no harm. She could do no wrong. It was always my fault as a child. Like I'm the one who, influenced her to do certain things, which I did sometimes. But she was pretty strong headed from a toddler, in early stages. But yeah, that really sparked jealousy. So I don't like being in situations where I feel like I'm not getting enough attention. I know that sounds very immature, but we're grown, right? So we got to take accountability and we got to own our shit. So I own my shit. And I get jealous sometimes when I don't feel like I'm getting attention. So, but the thing is, I was like, okay, yeah, okay, you're still dealing with that. You're still healing from that. You're still trying to figure this thing out as far as life. So, what could I do when I do feel those moments? What can I do positive instead of reacting in a negative way or lashing out? So I had to sit myself down and be like, okay, yeah, you got to redirect that energy. And sometimes you just got to talk to yourself about things like that. Redirect your energy, put it into something. So when I feel stressed or triggered or whatever, most of the time what I'll do is I'll write some poetry or I'll go bake, come up with a new recipe or creation or something to add to my baking business menu. And that helps. Or one thing that is looked at as I think it falls both in a positive and negative category. So I work a 9 to 5 as well. And I sometimes tend to overwork. Yeah, I overwork sometimes. And I'll throw myself into that so that I won't have to deal with anything else. So it's kind of a good thing because it kind of helps me get paid more, with raises and stuff. But at the same time, it's a bad thing because it's almost like how alcoholics, they drink. They have some type of internal issue going on, and they drink to kind of numb whatever, or drugs or whatever. Somebody taking drugs, they take that stuff to try to numb whatever is going on inside, but the problem is still there. It's still there. So I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta stop that too. I gotta stop overworking myself. I need to really sit and dig deep. So of course, y'all know since day one of my podcast, like I am a advocate for mental health awareness and going to therapy. So therapy is definitely one way you can deal with that. I wish that I had therapy as a child, honestly. Like, I feel like my life would have been a bit different. I would be able to handle certain situations and not just situations, my emotions. I would be able to handle my emotions in a different way had I had therapy as a child, especially when my grandmother passed away. So many people, we kind of we take death a little bit lightly sometimes. Like it doesn't leave a major impact, and it does. Like it really leaves a major impact, and sometimes wounds and scars that we just leave open. We put a band aid on a bullet shot wound most of the time instead of going to get the help that we need. So, for instance, like, and I already told you, I'm gonna be real, I'm gonna be transparent throughout a lot of these episodes with y'all about me, what makes up me, and why I am the way I am, whether that be bad or good. So, I I was not in a nurturing environment when my grandmother passed away. So I acted out. I was a very angry teenager. And a lot of people when they meet me now, they wouldn't believe they wouldn't believe the things that I did as a 15-year-old or 14 year old and 15-year-old child. I I was about to be in the system, like not just like the way that I was in the system or whatever by being like a foster child, but I was about to be in the system criminally. Okay, I was about to be another black kid labeled. Oh, ain't no telling where my life would be. Okay, I really don't know because I was really on a path of destruction. I was very disrespectful. And I know, a lot of times we say, oh, okay, people should give you respect no matter your age in order for you to, give it. Even though at the time I was in an unnurturing environment and I was not respected at the time, I didn't have to match that energy. I shouldn't have matched that energy. And it was a combination of hurt, grief, feeling abandoned all over again, and just not knowing, what's gonna happen next. So it caused me to want to be violent. And I am not one, I tell people all the time, I don't believe in people fighting or putting their hands on anyone, even if somebody, I mean, yeah, protect yourself if somebody comes at you or whatever. But I do feel like you should try to always diffuse a situation, de escalate it before it even gets to that type of point. But back then I didn't care about that, y'all. I was ready to go to war about anything with anybody. So I like really ended up in a courtroom at the age of 14 in front of a judge. And I don't that judge and God gave me grace that day to as a warning. They just gave me a warning and not send me to a whole juvenile delinquent center. I don't know what I would have done, y'all, if I would have ended up there. Like, I can't even see myself. I be thinking now, like, about certain stuff. Ain't no way I'll make it in jail. Ain't no way I would have made it there. I don't know. I would have been crying. I would have been crying every day. I would have I don't know. I'm just glad I ain't have to go through that part of it. And so that was one trait that I really had to sit and think about, and how it made me feel. Also, I I think about relationships, and let's talk about romantic relationships for a minute. Because of course, there are all different type of a relationship. But yeah, romantic relationships where, you're dating somebody or whatever. And because I feel like because of the childhood I experienced, the teenage years I experienced of being in a really rough and hard, unnurturing environment for so long, I got to the point where I didn't want to be hard. I didn't want to be hard. I don't want to be hard now. I'm all about softness and just basking in it. But I did not want to be hard. And I was to the point where I did not fully know my self worth. Um, I was like, okay, this little bit of attention, I'm cool with it. It's more than what I've been getting. And that's not the way it should be. Like, you should not compromise just a little tad bit of tension for what you really deserve, because you deserve the best. Okay? You deserve the best. And I, in past relationships, did not treat myself as such. I didn't. I know I didn't, because I put up with some stuff that, whew, I would tell somebody else, no, don't do that. But I let myself go through some really dumb shit. And so relationship trauma is a real thing, and people, like, they try to, we bag on each other, y'all, about um things that people go through and take in relationships, and how that leaves certain scars, and like getting cheated on, getting lied to, um and it starts off sometimes, like when you're like a teenager and you're dating. Okay, this person may lie to you. Okay, all right. I mean, sometimes everybody lie. I try not to lie, but sometimes everybody lie here and there. So you just be like, okay. But it gets so much deeper the older you get. Like, it be on a whole nother fucking level. Okay. I should not have used the F word, but it get on a whole nother level sometimes, where people like really lie about their life. Like, I mean, you do what you do, you date who you want to date. I'm interested in men, so I date men. And a good bit of men, they say some of them live double lives. I know they gotta be stressful, because I can't keep up with lies. Like, if I tell a lie, I'ma forget it. I ain't, and that's me not lying. Okay, I swear I'm gonna forget it. It's gonna be really hard for me to tell a lie and stick with it. So I really wonder, like, how people are able to keep up double lives. You know, not just dating multiple women, because honestly, it's nothing wrong with dating multiple people, but to maintain like relationships with multiple women, I don't see how they do that. I know they be tired. I know it. I can't do it. But that's another thing that um caused triggers in me, was with jealousy, was starting into date and get into relationships, and someone cheats on you, and you're like, why is this person cheating on me? And sometimes it's really hard to come to terms with, they did it because they want to do it. It has nothing to do with you. People cheat because they want to cheat. It ain't got nothing to do with you. Because if somebody really wanted something to work with you, they ain't gonna cheat. They're not gonna do anything to try to. They're not gonna do anything to jeopardize losing you intentionally, because it may be that they just have some internal issues and that's why they act the way they act. It has nothing to do with you though. So yeah, those are my issues. Some of my issues, because I mean, I know I got other issues, but that definitely it added to frustrations in my life. Um and I just really, like I said, I had to have a talk with myself in the mirror. Talk to yourself sometimes. It's okay. It's okay to talk to yourself. It's honestly, it's okay to answer yourself sometimes. So you ask yourself a question, it's okay to answer it. Long as you don't have like multiple voices and stuff going on, then that's a problem. You might need to go see somebody. But other than that, it's okay. It is okay to talk to yourself and to get yourself back in reasoning. I say it all the time, like I am so gung ho, head over heels about love, okay? Like, I love, absolutely love. And I feel like a lot of problems come from love being placed at the bottom of the totem pole and not at the top where it should be. Love and kindness should always be at the top. It should. It just should. And we as people, sometimes we will quickly show love to things versus people, because maybe it triggers something in you where you were not accepted, where you were hurt, where you were abandoned. Instead of still giving that to somebody, people who you meet for the first time, they deserve a fresh chance. They don't deserve for you to hold things against them, like, because John hurt you, John hurt me, I gotta make sure Billy knows about it. I gotta treat Billy the same way. I gotta put up this wall against, Billy because John did this to me. No, you do not have to do that. If you feel like you're doing that, then you need help. You do. Whatever help that may be, whether it is, something that you explore in your faith practices, or you actually go and seek professional help from like a counselor or a therapist. I recommend, if you do, faith practices, still do the second one too. You still need that outlet sometimes. But I had to have a come to Jesus with myself. And sometimes you gotta do that. And you gotta have one with yourself too, I'm sure. Because a lot of times we just let time go on and we just be like, yeah, I'll deal with it another day. I'll deal with it another day. And another day just piles up and piles up, piles up. Next thing you know, it's 10 years later and you still dealing with abandonment and attachment issues. Like me. Like me, okay? So I feel like, once you start feeling it, go ahead and look into what you need to do to try to heal from it. I honestly, like, I was very open in some of the earlier episodes, like where I really just started my whole healing journey, maybe at the most started to tap into it at the age of 30. I just said I'm 34. So I haven't been doing it very long and I haven't been doing it consistently very long. I just started doing it consistently over the last 2 years, is when I took a step to say, hey, yeah, we got to get this together for real this time, because can't keep going on like this, basically. Like, what is there in what type of quality of life is there, So, we make jokes about triggers and things all the time, but triggers are not jokes. Triggers are real. And if you have a trigger, you're not healed yet. So you need to go and deal with it. There are many different ways, you can deal with it. As I mentioned, your faith practices, you going to seek help, outlets, talking to a friend or a family member, or even, I know and I say we a lot because I just kind of throw certain people into the same boat just from observations of things or whatever. But we sometimes, like, we pass a lot of judgment on people when we call it oversharing on social media, when really that's how they deal with their issue. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because sometimes it can be right, sometimes it can land you into the laps of somebody or something that can really help them for real. Like, it may get the attention of the right person, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it gets the wrong attention. So you just have to be careful with that. But whether you express yourself that way or you express yourself through whatever you're passionate about, do it because you don't want to walk around with triggers all the time, because you will be somewhere and it may be a really calm, nice atmosphere, and one little thing happens and boom, like, you're like a bomb. You're going off, and you don't want to do that. I know I don't want to do that. So that's why I do my shadow work. I do my root work. I dig deep to see, hey, girl, what is going on with you? We gotta check this. So do that sometimes. And that's pretty much all that I really kind of wanted to just kind of talk about. As I mentioned, make sure y'all follow me, Have Tea with V, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, all that, all that. Okay. Follow me and subscribe to my channel. Also, I appreciate feedback. Okay. Give me feedback. Let me know, what do you feel are some of your triggers as well? And we can kind of, talk about it. Y'all can make comments or, whatever, and I will respond back because that's what I do. That's what people should do when you pose a question like that. But yeah, definitely. And make sure y'all follow 1212 Music as well on all social media platforms. And they have a website also. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just to keep in check with your triggers if you have them, because you're not healed. Signed, an unhealed 34-year-old woman. So yeah, but thank you all so much for your time.